Joining me on the line, as he does every Friday on the show, he is from Cinemablend.com. You can find out more about him at the website, kggo.com. We'll have all his social links up there. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Reyes is on the line. Mike, we got a big one this week. Black Widow coming to theaters and the world around us.
Yeah, Marvel's back, baby. Back in the theaters, back in the open, back in the wild.
Now, before we get in, because you've seen it, this has got to be kind of an awkward time for Marvel because they're coming off 3 pretty good TV series at this point. WandaVision, Falcon, Winter Soldier, and then Loki. Black Widow coming out after these 3 come out. What did you think?
It's a movie.
No. Oh, no.
It's okay. It doesn't suck. I will say that much. It is not a film that I look at and say, oh my God, I was so bored. Why is this in movie theaters? I mean, you have an amazing cast in this thing.
Yeah.
It's nice to see Scarlett Johansson sort of back in the Black Widow role. And it's also really cool to see, you've got David Harbour from Stranger Things and Quantum of Solace. And I got to throw the Bond thing in there because a lot of people are already comparing this to like, wow, it's the MCU's James Bond movie. It's not. It's more of like a Jason Bourne sort of movie.
Okay.
If you really want to compare it to something, but that still kind of robs the movie of its Black Widowness. But anyway, Scarlett Johansson, David Harbour, Rachel Weisz, Florence Pugh, like you've got that as a core family unit at the center of this film. You really can't lose with that cast.
Yeah.
That being said, it's an okay story. Like it's still, you can't skirt around the question of why are we doing this now when we could have very easily done this earlier before, I don't know, spoiler alert, Black Widow does a somersault off of a rock to get another rock.
Oh.
But, it's distracting enough. It's the first Marvel movie back, and it's not exactly the best foot forward, but it's it's okay. It's competent.
See, I wonder what this would have been like because this happens right after Civil War, correct? In the timeline.
Yes, this is a mid-world that takes place right after Civil War and before Infinity War.
Would it have been better if it came out 3 years ago, like when Civil War comes out, and then 6 months later you get Black Widow?
I think it would have been much better for it to come out then, because then the Sokovia Accords would have been something worth giving a damn about. Because right at no spoilers, but that's one of the things that comes into question. Even though it's only like a small sort of circumstance that gets things kicked off,
yeah,
it actually it's a stake that's thrown in, and it really would have been more interesting, because when you go from Civil War to Infinity War, it was like, wow, the Sokovia Accords really didn't matter all that much.
Yeah, see, that's the thing I've always wondered about it, and this is kind of getting off the topic of the movie, but the Sokovia Accords was one of the biggest, one of the things in Marvel that was the biggest throwaway. They just put it in so they could have a reason for Tony Stark and Captain America to fight.
A reason to name it Civil War and then not go into the Civil War and then not go into the other deeper ramifications of it. I mean, I like it as an idea.
Yeah.
I wanted more. And another thing I will give Black Widow is it gives us a little more of that world. And I guess, you might be able to tell more stories under that, but
yeah. Okay, so
I guess we'll see.
So it's okay. Post-credit scenes?
There is one that I remember, and it's something that we've kind of already been exposed to because the way that the release date shuffle went.
Oh, okay.
A character that was supposed to be introduced in Black Widow was introduced in a Marvel series.
Oh, I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah, but I'm just staying vague for people that may have forgotten, and they'll still get, a surprise out of it. But,
yeah. All right. Mike Reyes.
And there's also a link to another Disney Plus series coming.
Oh. Is it the one we're going to be talking about?
No.
Okay. Okay, then.
Mike Reyes from Cinemablend joining us on the line.
Exactly. He joins us every week. You can find out more about him at the website, kggo.com. We got all his links up on the page. What's next this week? Is there any other movies coming out that we need to talk about? Oh, Fear Street. Fear Street, right?
Yeah, I was totally going to lean into that and say, yeah, a movie called Fear Street Part 2, 1978, and it is just as good as Fear Street Part 1.
Okay, cool. So this is the Netflix thing that's each week, correct?
Yep. We are playing out one a week. Next week is going to be the big finale, but this is the middle installment, which takes a flashback to 1978, where the Camp Nightwing massacre gives us a little more details on the curse of Sarah Fear.
Oh, cool.
And Yeah, and this time out, Lee Janiak, and again, forgive me if I am pronouncing your name incorrectly, but what she has done with the story here is it really feels like a trilogy of films that what if Scream, Halloween / Friday the 13th, and another movie that'll be like The Witch. What if they had a trilogy together and they told one cohesive story? And part 2 is, again, the Halloween, Friday the 13th sort of slasher, because it all takes place at summer camp. And the needle drops are just as good. Like the soundtracks in these movies are as amazing as the stuff that they pull in from R.L. Stine's lore, because Camp Nightwing is obviously a location from the books.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a perfect continuation from, it does not miss a beat continuing the story. And it's just so much fun. If you like, so this week is the week that Axe Murderer fans get their thrills, because last week was the whole Scream vibe. This week is just good old-fashioned axe murdering.
Do you think this would have been, and I get that it's a good movie and all this, I always wonder why they don't do this kind of stuff closer to Halloween, especially when you have a 3-week release thing happening.
The whole original plan was, this was a Fox movie, and they wanted to do one a month.
Okay.
And they wanted to do it over the summer, because, you still get some good traction out of summer horror movies. And plus, they probably could have repackaged them at Halloween if they released them over the summer, or even the home video would have been out for Halloween, so people can do like Halloween parties around it.
Yeah.
But yeah. No, if I had my way, I would rent out a theater the weekend of Halloween, and I would show all 3 of these in a row.
That'd be awesome.
I applaud Netflix for actually getting to buy it out and giving it to people, in a quicker manner. But I still wish this was a theatrical release.
Mike Reyes from Cinemablend.com joining me on the line to talk about movies and such. Those were the 2 big movies, Black Widow and Fear Street. Going over to movie news now, right?
Yeah.
Let's start. I want to get one out of the way because as an Iowan, I should be like throwing up my fist and saying, yeah, this looks awesome, but I don't know if I can do that. The other day, I think it was Wednesday, we got our
look. Time is irrelevant in this bubble.
Yeah, really, right, when you're podcasting and stuff. We got our first look at American Underdog, the Kurt Warner story, or whatever the hell it's called. Zach Levi's going to be playing Kurt Warner. Of course, Kurt Warner, the famous story of a guy that went to UNI, was trying to make it into the NFL, didn't, worked at a grocery store, played for the Barnstormers, the arena team here in town, eventually made it to the NFL, won a Super Bowl, and the rest is history. I think this movie looks cheap.
Yeah, I've only really seen the first photos out of it coming out of the film, and I don't know what to say, because it looks like your standard sports biopic where basically, the story that you just told me is going to be retold in more dramatic form. And, there's going to be tears. There's going to be heartstrings pulled. Zachary Levi's great for that, because, the man's worked on everything from Shazam to Tangled. And he's a good actor.
One of the things, like one of the local sports guys, he goes, Zach Levy as Kurt Warner here. I don't know how I feel about how he's holding the football. It's like he's holding it just completely wrong. It's what it comes down to.
Oh, boy.
Kind of go through it. I mean, for an Iowan, there's some cool moments, especially when you see like him in a UNI jersey, the remake of the Barnstormers uniforms and stuff from when they were vets, when they were a force to be reckoned with. But overall, it's like, I don't know about this.
It feels like one of those ideas that was greenlit really fast to sort of strike while the iron is hot.
Yeah.
And sometimes that does work, and sometimes it obviously doesn't.
Yeah.
But, we're probably just gonna have to wait and see.
Yeah, I don't want to rag on it too much. I watched the trailer and I wasn't overly impressed by it. I'll put it that way.
Well, yeah, that's another thing that's tough when you have a story that a lot of people know, or even a lot of people in a region are beholden to. There's always going to be something that they get right, and there's always going to be those things that they get wrong.
Well, see, my wife brought up a good point. John Gregory, he was the coach of the Barnstormers in a big part of his story, and she goes, he wasn't in the trailer at all.
Well, that just might be a case of this is an early trailer.
Yeah, well, they were showing you like the green screen stuff. That's what maybe that's what made it look cheap to me. That they're showing all the like stadiums with the green screen in the background and all that.
Well, don't forget that this is also probably like really early footage.
Yeah.
And then, just like with any Marvel movie, Star-Lord's helmet's going to be different. There's going to be variations of what you see right now, but this is just a reel that's this is the basic concept to get people going.
I will say this, I am kind of excited to see it because I went to the Barnstormers in the 90s when he played. Like, I went to a lot of games, and Veterans Memorial Auditorium where they played, they called it the Barn, was such a cool place for a football game. Like, they had like this one wild section of crowd called the Barnyard. And they've never been able to recreate it at the new arena where they play, where the current team plays, because the building's just not set up the same way.
Yeah.
So
see the things you get right and things you get wrong in these sorts of things are what matter.
Mike Reyes from Cinemablend.com. We won't bash on the Underdog too much more, but you can see the trailer over at the website kggo.com. What was one last piece of news this week?
We could always take a glove.
No, I was just going to say, what do you think is the best way to wrap up today?
Probably with the What If trailer, or unless you want to do some Loki talk.
I was actually wondering if we had something other than Marvel, but I don't. I like to.
I do.
No, I'm fine talking Marvel, but I know it kind of gets on. Like you've made fun of it before.
I do have a question for you, though.
Okay.
I do have a question for you, though. Have you been back to the movies recently?
No, I have not, and I will tell you, we talked about it this week because we thought, Black Widow is going to be in the theater. Maybe we should go. It's the first time since all this started that my wife and I legitimately had a conversation about going to the movies.
And it was because of Black Widow? Like, basically seeing whether you wanted to go or not?
Yeah, it's the first movie we were both like, I'd go see that in the theater. Because, like I've told you, there hasn't been a movie that has come out that I've needed to see in the theater. You know, the new movies that are on, like, in March, when HBO Max was putting out new movies all the time, I was fine watching those at home. I've got no issue with that, you know?
Yeah, but you didn't want to see Godzilla versus Kong anyway.
I watched it because of you. That's the only reason I watched that movie.
Oh, you clearly loved it.
It was a monster movie.
But yeah, like that was what I really wanted to ask you, because right now they're just talking about all this Black Widow stuff, and everyone's been wondering what is the major movie that will bring people back. And a lot of people were, saying maybe it's F9. And to F9's credit, I think it was like $70 million it brought in for the first weekend in the U.S. alone, because it was already out internationally.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about that is because of those numbers, the window for that movie to go to streaming gets delayed.
Okay.
Because if anything makes I think it's 50. I think 50 million is the magic number. Don't quote me on it, but there's a certain threshold where if it goes past that, which this movie blew past it, the window is no longer like 15 days. It goes to like 30 days before it can go streaming.
Okay.
Whereas Black Widow, they're saying 75 to 85 million, I want to say, which already beat F9. But also, you don't have to worry about windows like that because this is going straight to Premier Access.
Yeah, and I thought about that because I was like, you know what? I'm going to pay that much to go see it in a theater for me and my wife. It'd be, $30, more or less for 2 tickets plus, snacks or popcorn, because I don't go see movies without popcorn. Tell you that much right now.
No.
Hell, I'm trying to lose weight. I'm trying to lose a little weight. The other night I felt bad because we sat down to watch a movie and I was like, I have to have popcorn. I have to.
There's healthier popcorns out there.
I don't want
to go to the theater. Get a kids pack.
It's like what I told you about coffee. I don't want to sacrifice it so I can have some. If I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
So they're saying. Do they think Black Widow might be the one that brings people back to the theaters?
I mean, it's one of the movies that has definitely been a prime candidate for it, because that's the reason it's gotten pushed here, there, and everywhere.
I mean, the F9 one makes sense to me, just because that's a huge franchise and a huge, fan base. I'm kind of
but so is Black Widow. That's Marvel.
Yeah,
that's like one of the biggest industry drivers for ever since day one. Although I am very curious to see how Phase 4 pans out, because it doesn't, right now it may not be clear, and maybe this is just me not seeing the forest for the trees, but there's no clear vision as to where we're going right now.
Yeah, but you know what?
You don't have the Russo brothers sitting in the cockpit, planning movie. You have Kevin Feige mapping movies out, but you don't have the Russos and McFeely and Marcus plotting out the story from Winter Soldier on.
But like we've talked about in the past with, Phase 1, I mean, it was a lot of introduction. Hey, this is Thor. this is, who Captain America is. This is who Iron Man is. We didn't really know.
Oh, no, it totally is.
We didn't have that focus of where we were going. We had hints that it was going to cross over at some point, but we didn't have, I don't think anybody would have thought, oh, this is moving towards the Infinity War.
Well, by the time you got to the Avengers, you could figure that out.
Yeah, but I mean...
See, that's the thing. That's the thing. We're not in it. We're in a post-Avengers Endgame, pre-Avengers 5, whatever, or Avengers 6, whatever the next one is, universe where things are much looser. And I'm wondering how fans are going to react to that, since they've been conditioned after the past half decade or so.
Yeah.
To always, what's the next one? What's the next step? Ooh, Thanos is getting closer. Infinity War, then Endgame.
Just I looked up some are, blockbusters that are coming out. Like Black Widow, okay, yeah, that makes sense to me. Escape Room, Roadrunner,
Oh, I'm looking forward to that.
Well, yeah, but you're into the movie.
Whoa.
What?
Back up there.
What?
Roadrunner? Roadrunner?
I don't know much about it.
It's the Anthony Bourdain documentary.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't see that bringing, see people...
It's definitely not like it's a boutique thing. It's probably going to run it might run wide, but yeah. I see that.
If I'm looking at this from bringing mass amounts of people into the theaters, I don't see Roadrunner as the one. Like that weekend, that's the same weekend as Space Jam. I'm sorry.
And even that's getting savaged on the internet.
Of course it is, because it's LeBron James and people love to hate LeBron James.
And also it just looks like trash.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to...
Prove me wrong movie. I want that movie to prove me wrong.
Everybody
I would love
does.
to actually like a Space Jam, but,
To me, that's a movie that probably brings people back. Whether it's good or not, or something you like, I don't know. But Space Jam makes sense to me. Old, Snake Eyes, people probably... I don't know why we need a Snake Eyes movie, but whatever. Hotel Transylvania, I don't see that. Like, I see people going to see it.
That got moved to Halloween.
Oh, did it? Okay.
Yeah. That got moved to October 1st, and now it's on the same day as Addams Family, too.
Oh, cool. The Green Knight, no. Jungle Cruise, maybe, but probably not. Suicide Squad, I could see that.
I feel like we should do a whole show on this.
No, I know, we should. Free Guy, I could see being pretty big.
I really hope that's big, because that looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, that's outside of the normal window of movies that I know I'm going to see because I want to catch up with everyone.
Yeah.
That's a movie that I'm like, I need to go see that in the theater.
The only bad thing about that, you know what I started wondering? If it'll be kind of like Ready Player One, where it's such a cool, like, background story and stuff, and then you go see it, and it's like, okay, you ruined it.
Ew.
So, I don't know. I'm hoping it's not.
Especially because that's what Space Jam looks like.
Yeah.
The minute that thing came out, everyone was with the Ready Player One jokes. I was even like, Space Jam, Ready Player Tune.
And on that note, that's where we'll end it this week. Mike Reyes from... Oh, shut up, man. We'll get copyright for that. Mike Reyes from...
I stopped.
Mike Reyes from Cinemablend.com joins me every Friday on the show to talk about movies. Mike, you have a great weekend, okay?
You as well, man.